right. Here we go. So welcome, you guys. I'm really happy to be here with you. I'm Kristen's here with me, but she's hiding. I'm going to be talking today about a topic that keeps coming up. And so I'm going to discuss it today, especially because it's February, and as some of you may know, right smack dab in the middle of February is Valentine's Day. And a lot of us are thinking about relationships. Now, part of why we think about relationships in February has nothing to do with Valentine's Day and everything to do with the transits. When we look at the transits that are always highlighted by the sun and the earth in the month of February, we are always in the month of February exploring our personal narrative around our own lovability and our self-worth. We are always exploring the theme of collaboration. We are always exploring the theme of intimacy, community, and the relationship agreements that we have, and whether these relationship agreements are agreements that need to be rewritten. We are always, and this is always where Valentine's Day falls, we're always, and Valentine's Day, the sun is usually in the gate 30, the gate of passion, and the earth is highlighted in the gate 29, the gate of commitment. So we have like this whole juicy, intense week of passion and commitment. That's our Valentine's Day week. We round out the end of the month always with a theme of how much faith do you have? The earth at the end of the month highlights the gate 59, which in the very mundane exploration can be a very sexual energy. In the less mundane exploration, it's an energy that causes us to explore sustainability and impact, and whether we are having sustainability and impact. And of course, at the very, very end of the month, the sun and the earth transit through the 37 and the 40, bringing us again sort of this end of the month theme of community and connection. And in conjunction with that, the agreements that we make again in our relationships, and how those agreements might be either keeping us sustainable or depleting our sustainability. I've been thinking a lot about this in terms of relationships and exploring some of the dynamics that we do in relationships. So I want to start first with a little bit. Kristen's going to laugh. She calls these my rants, a little bit of a rant. And so my rant is this: at least twice a year, somebody sends me an email and says, hey, why don't we do a human design dating app? And I'll tell you, because it's a bad idea. And here's why it's a bad idea. You should not be dating by type or by design. In fact, you should not be doing work by design. You should not be finding the things in your life that are right for you according to the very limited definitions of your design. And let me clarify what I'm saying, because it's going to sound confusing. Meaning, you should work according to your type, but you should find the right work for you according to your type. Don't get up in your head and go, oh, I have this in my chart, and therefore I should do this job. Don't get up in your head and try to figure out, oh, I have this in my design, I should have a partner that has that in my design. When we start using human design as this labeling tool and we say, I'm this and I'm that, especially when we start looking at relationships and who should we hire in our business and who should we date, when we start using this tool as a way of labeling system instead of going, whoa, time out, this is actually a tool that is a powerful way to help us understand how we operate. It's not I am a generator. It's that I interface with life with my generator strategy. I interface with what's next through responding to what shows up and dropping into my inner experience of myself and feel into what feels right and wrong. That's the sacral response. And then I follow it. You are going to have relationships that are going to possibly be horrible on paper by design, and they will be your soulmate partnerships. Number one, because soulmate partnerships actually often teach us the most about how to live love in a body, in a human body, right? And also, sometimes soulmate partnerships bring us lessons that cause us to explore how do we be better humans? How do we be better humans to each other and with each other? So I think a human design dating app is a really bad idea, unless we're going to create a dating app that says, this is who you are. These are some core fundamental things that you need and want. Here's the best way for you to learn how to communicate this to your partner. here's somebody who could potentially be attracted to. I always just want to put a little time out here on this too. You can be attracted to somebody who has the perfect design for you, and they can be a jerk because they've been conditioned or they've been traumatized, or maybe they're married. That's not in the chart. So let's not date by design, right? I mean, as you know, the second thing you could put in that app is, if you're attracted to this person, you go out on a date. Here's the best way how to get this person to communicate with you. Here's the best way to really see and hear this person. Here's the best way to really interact based on your designs optimally so that you both have the potential through this interaction to bring out the best in each other. I think it'd be really hard to create an app like that. I don't want to see us interact. I mean, if you could do that, I think it'd be great, but I think it'd be really hard to do that. So that's kind of where I'm going to start my rant. Let's not date by design. Let's not hire people by design. Let's not choose people by design. Let's choose people who we feel aligned with. Let's choose the people we have in our life by whether they are reflecting back to us our value and our values. And if that criteria is being met, then let's use our designs as a tool to help us explore, how can I best see, hear, love, and accept this person? And how can I use my own understanding of my own design to get the same for myself? So that was my rabbit hole. Here's the other piece that I just want to play with you guys. I've been thinking a lot about anger, and part of why I'm thinking a lot about anger is I'm a manifesting generator. And you might not know this about me. Some of you maybe do. I have kind of a short fuse, at least in my personal life. I have a habit of being really deeply grounded, very, very spiritual, and very, high from my meditation in the morning, and going upstairs and fixing breakfast for my daughter and getting my husband help, being with my husband and being present. And I will lose my temper like that. And part of why I lose my temper, I have decided, and this is going to sound really basic, but roll with me. Part of why I lose my temper is because our kitchen is not designed well for a manifesting generator. And so it has all these little weird aisles that bump out, and the passageways are very narrow. And I move really fast in the kitchen, and I'm in the span of 20 minutes preparing. I have the 50-27, so cooking is my language of love, right? So I'm cooking a really good, healthy breakfast for my daughter. I'm packing a really good homemade lunch for my daughter. I'm, talking to my husband and getting his espresso for him. I know this, I'm taking care of all of this. And in the meantime, my family and the dogs and the cats are all in the little narrow walkways in the kitchen. And so I get really frustrated and I snap. Now, part of why I snap is that if you are a manifester or a manifesting generator, that anger response isn't really anger. It's perceived and felt by others as anger. But really what it is, it's that internal nonverbal creative flow. When it gets disrupted, it explodes, because that creative energy, that's your innate connection to life rolling through you, and that creative process that is so beautifully unique to the manifestor and the manifesting generator. When that process gets interrupted, that creative force has to go somewhere. And so oftentimes it explodes. Now, I have learned over time how to soften that response, how to not snap, how to not throw things. And sometimes literally I have to go out of the room and just slow myself down. Probably it would help if I didn't have 2 big cups of really heavy French roast coffee before I went to fix breakfast for everybody. I'd probably feel a lot nicer. But I know myself well enough to know that this is my soft spot and I need to be mindful. And frankly, my family knows me well enough to know now that they stay out of the little narrow walkways. But anger is a theme that shows up in relationships, even when we're not manifestors or manifesting generators. We can be angry in relationships. And honestly, anger is a really challenging energy in relationships. It is a sort of special kind of hell. It's like we feel hell. We feel like we're in hell and we blow up, and then we feel like we're in hell afterwards because we feel guilty or we have regret. And oftentimes we've said or done things that we don't want to say to people who we really love. Part of what happens when we experience anger in our relationships is that we've let things fester for too long. Sometimes we've let things fester too long because we really don't know how to communicate correctly by type. If you are a generator, projector, or reflector, you have what's called a non-motorized throat center. So what that means that for you, if you have a non-motorized throat, there's really two distinctly different kinds of conversation that you have. The first kind of conversation is talking, and that kind of talking is talking that has the function of energy release. When you get into the energy field of somebody who helps you bring energy up to your throat, what happens a lot of times is because when you have a non-motorized throat, that energy builds up and it doesn't get released, then you're sitting on all this stuff and all of a sudden you're with somebody who hooks up your throat. Now it's like blah, 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 and you do all this talking because that's how you move energy. And when I pick up my projector daughter from school, in the afternoons, and she slides into the back seat, she talks all the way home. And sometimes it's really meaningful conversation. A lot of times it's just talking because I know that she's got all this energy that she's picked up all day long in her open sacral, and she has a non-motorized throat, and she has to move that energy. So there's the kind of communication that's talking, that's just moving energy. And then there's the second kind of communication that's actually communicating, not talking, but actually communicating how you feel, what you want, what you need to do to make a plan. And that kind of conversation needs to be approached correctly by type. Meaning, if you are with somebody who has a definition of some sort that needs recognition and attention, and that's definitely going to be generator, projector, reflector, you have to know how to access information correctly from that person so that they can feel the relief of being heard and being adequately activated in the dialogue. So part of what happens sometimes is we feel anger in our relationships when our partners don't know how to correctly activate our communication energy. If my first husband was a projector, and one of the things that would happen a lot for us is he would come into the kitchen and he'd ask me 5 questions in a row. Do you want to have, bread for breakfast? Do you want to have oranges? Should I go to the grocery store? Do you think we need to get some more water? It was like he would rapid fire these questions at me, and as a sacral being, I couldn't even answer them fast enough. And a lot of times they weren't sacral questions, so I'd just be like, I couldn't respond to that. So knowing how to access questions and communication, how to ask questions and communicate correctly by type is essential, because not only does it allow your partner to adequately communicate, it actually also creates this huge relief, because when you have a partner that knows how to communicate with you and you know how to communicate with them, not just the talking part, but the actual communication piece, it allows you to actually co-create and collaborate together in a healthy way. And it allows you both to feel seen and heard and loved and valued and cherished. And if we don't get that need met, if we don't feel seen, valued, heard, or cherished, oftentimes we feel angry. We feel angry at our partner. Sometimes we feel angry at our partners because we've bought into the idea that, and society sort of perpetuates this for us, that a partner should make us feel complete, right? Of course, if we look at this through the lens of human design and relationships, that makes sense, particularly again for our generators, projectors, and reflectors. That's like 56 of us, 56% of us. If you have a non-motorized throat, you need a partner, or you're going to be more likely to be attracted to a partner who's going to bring you energy to the throat. That's just part of the attraction magnetics, if you will, or the attraction dynamics in human design partnerships. If you are buying into the idea that your partner should complete you, and maybe energetically they bring you that energy activation to the throat, and they're still not communicating with you correctly, and you're still not feeling seen or heard or valued or loved because that communication piece isn't working, then it's also not unusual to experience anger, because we start projecting onto our partner, you should know, you should be aware, you're here to complete me, and you're not doing a good job completing me. It's not your partner's job to fulfill you. It's definitely not our partner's job to complete you. We have to be walking. We're all not, none of us are incomplete. Let's just really own that. You're not incomplete, even if you're just a generator or a projector or a reflector. You're totally complete the way you are. You don't need somebody to complete you, but you do need to know how to tap into your energy field correctly. If we don't value ourselves, if we don't have a high sense of self-worth, and we enter into relationships with that value piece not in place, and we project onto our partners that they should complete us, and oftentimes that means that they should also fulfill our sense of value. They should be taking care of us instead of us first learning how to take care of ourselves. It creates a very interesting power gradient in the relationship that creates a projection field and expectation. And that can also be a place where eventually we get anger, which, can oftentimes be a sideline emotion generated from bitterness, frustration, disappointment, or just in general not feeling seen and heard. So, one of the things that we do when we look at human design relationships is we have to look at what are the communication dynamics? What are the dynamics between two charts? And how do we support clients, or how do you learn how to correctly activate your partner's energies? How do you learn to correctly activate your own energy? How do you, in partnership, learn how to get those energy needs met? Because that's really what it boils down to. And how do you do it in such a way that you don't project onto your partner that they should be doing for you what you really should be doing for yourself first, so that you don't slide into the frustration, the anger, the bitterness, the depletion, the disappointment, the unfulfilled expectations, and then ultimately walking away feeling like I wasn't loved, when maybe you were really, really loved, but you just didn't know how to activate that communication piece correctly. That's what we learn to do with the human design chart. We learn to use it as a tool to explore, how do we better be seen? How do we better be heard? How do we better love? How do we better be loved? How do we better see? How do we better hear? How do we better communicate? If we can start using the human design chart as a tool for that, then I think we can figure out how to do that and create a dating app. But if we can't do that, we have to figure that out first, because I really get like so uncomfortable when people say, what type should I date? You should date the type that the universe brings you. That's the type you should date. And you should trust that even if it's not the best person, it's the person you needed to attract, to have whatever you needed to have cleared up, reflected back to you, so that you could continue on your journey to learn how to really deeply love and value yourself. So I am teaching this month, starting this month, a brand new program. It's a reworked program. It's a program I taught many years ago, but I haven't taught it in a lot of years. So I'm reworking it and putting it into quantum language. It's a program called Transform Your Relationship. In that program, I'm going to walk you through all the different types, the quantum types, the energy needs of the types, what you need to know to best love somebody when they have certain configurations in their chart. If you have these configurations in your chart, we're going to talk about what you need, what you want. We're going to look at relationships, not only through the lens of love relationships, but friendships, parenting relationships, and even business partnerships, and how you can get the most out of your relationships for yourself, so that you can feel seen, heard, and loved, and how you can better see, feel, and love your partner. I said it. I said, better feel your partner. You take that wherever you want to go with that. We're going to talk about, I'll just jump off on that. We're going to talk about sexual dynamics. We're going to talk about relationship bonding strategies. We're going to talk about what attracts us, what repels us. How do we work with the partners that we have so that we can be the best partners we can be? How do we really see our kids for who they are? How do we understand our parenting dynamics, and more? So the class is actually on sale for $100 off. Kristen will post below the link to the class and how you can use the coupon. But I hope you'll join me, because it's, I have said this is probably one of the most important classes that I teach. If we can engage in our personal relationships with genuine love and respect and honor for each other, if we can do that on a one-to-one basis, or on a family level, on a community level, if we can create a microcosm of love and respect for each other, think about how we can start building upon that in a big way. If I can really hear a troll on Facebook, I had this experience last week. If I can really hear them, and I can really hear through what they write, and I can do this because I kind of know design. I can kind of hear what's going on in their design that's causing them to say what they say. And I can meet them where they're at with love and respect. It can transform the dialogue dramatically. And so I want that for you. I want that for you in your relationships. And ultimately, I want us all to build that on a personal level so that we can then create that and share that with the world. So that's our live for today. This is our really kind of our first-ish live. um, I hope you all take good care of yourselves. I hope you all live love in the highest level in every area of your life. I hope you all feel really genuinely seen, loved, heard, and valued in all of your relationships. And if you aren't, I hope you quickly discover exactly what it is that you need to create that in your life today. All right. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Kristen, for holding down the fort. Bye.